And hello everyone, welcome to another video. So there's this series that I really want to bring in, or I have been wanting to bring in for a while, where I show the applications I'm working on, the website or any project I'm working on. I tell you what it does, and then I, show you how it works, say what I plan on doing with it, what features I want to add, and so on. So let's get started. So the first one I do want to show off is my bug tracker app. So I've been wanting to do something like this for a very long time because it always interests me like how cool this really is. But I've always been like, that design is going to be a lot of effort, So I never did it. But I finally got it. Now here's the code. We're just going to run it for now. I'll show you through the code in a second. I just want to show you what I have, and then you can go through the code and I can tell you what I want to do. So there we go. It's kind of like a basic Trello clone. It's in its very early stages, so it doesn't look great. It doesn't do much. Basically, you drag, you drop, you drag, you drop. There's a few things here, like here they have like specific orders that they're going to be placed in. I'm going to change that at some point. That is a feature I want to add. But currently it just kind of places them depending on how it feels is right. Depending on, but I'll update that in the future. We also have an add button, so we can add a task, and we can add a task, and it will add the task there. We can also add a task and then give it a description. So for example, eat pizza. I want to eat pizza, and it has to be pineapple. There. I think that's how it's spelled. There we go. Okay. And then here we have like a little description as well. When you click on them, you can edit their name. So here we could say fish. So I should go fish, and I can give it a description now, like go fishing. Well, not, I at some point want to, like, if you click on it, it does something like with ClickUp, where here's my like tasks. If you click on it, it should do something like this. Not as complex. I don't want it to be this complex. I want it to be more personalized to one person than this being for like a whole team. So this is more for you and not for your team. But you could probably like put a whole team on here, So there's going to be like a login and things at some point. But anyways, you can also click on this X button to delete. And let's add a few here so we can add more. Let's add a nice bunch of them. Cool. Now let's say you're like, okay, we're going to start this project from scratch anyways, or we should actually do this in complete, because that would make more sense. Because one thing that always bothers me about like these apps is that at some point your completed section becomes so full, like it's like full of hundreds of these, and you're like, why do I need all of these? I've completed them. Do I still need them? You could archive them, but then you have to go one by one and archive it. But now I've added a feature. You just click on this X or this plus. You say delete all. It asks you, are you sure you want to delete all the tasks instead of completed? You say yeah. Boom. It's all gone. And now we can like put things here, put something to do, and just delete these two. So this is basically what the app does. It's a basic Trello. I am going to bring out a tutorial on how to do this in the future. So if you're interested in like building this yourself as well, that tutorial will be coming up, and I'll show you how I did this. And I'll not just go through the code basic like I'm going to do now. I'm going to go through the code step for step, build it from the ground up. So if you want to see that tutorial, leave a like and subscribe. Cool. So that is the basics of this. Now, the things I do want to bring into this is, if we go here, then you'll notice we have a few things. First, I want to add more checks on the client-side slice. This is something more in the code section, so people can't like fake a bunch of details. I'll also add a few more checks on the backend, but luckily I'm using Fast API and it does a lot of that for me. Then here we have allow user to order tasks in desired order, because currently it has a fixed order and you're just going to have to be happy with that. I hate having fixed orders. That's one thing I do kind of hate about ClickUp, is if you have like tasks that's of certain priority, then it will order it by that priority enclosed. Like here enclosed, I don't want it to order by high priority. I want it to order by last completed. But by the rest, I want the highest priority to be at the top because that's high priority. But if it's enclosed, it's no longer high priority. If you get what I mean. For example, I could actually give you a good example of this. If I go here to my Steve Studies, click up. So this right here, currently it's ordered by the priority. So you'll see the highest priority, which is the yellow flags, they're on top. Then you have like the blue priority, which is normal. And then as you go down, you'll notice the other priorities, like here, the ones that's not that important. Here as well, you'll see this one is super high priority, and then here's high priority. But here in closed, I don't care that these are high priority anymore. But I want to see which was done last. You know, so if someone takes one of these and they throw them here in closed, then I have to scroll all the way down to be able to see that it has been completed, which to me is absolutely stupid. But that's just my personal opinion. So when I'm going to maybe implement something like this, I'm going to make sure that you can say that you don't want that to happen in closed, because that's something that really bothers me. And I don't want that to happen here, because this is my project, so I can finally build it how I desire it to be. It's going to be better than ClickUp, it's going to be better than Trello, it's going to be exactly what I need. Okay, so that's that part. Then you also have your error handling, because currently my error handling isn't that great. It handles basic errors, and it's not too great at that. So yeah. Then we can add more columns, because as you'll notice here, we have like multiple columns here. We have to do, in progress, review, notes, and closed. Then here we only have to do, doing, and completed. I want us to be able to rename these, and I want us to be able to add more. And maybe even resize a little bit so they're not as thick as they currently are. And here, add a details box. That's basically this that I talked about. I want to add this. And in the database seeding, that's in the backend. You don't have to worry about that. And currently I'm working on login and sign up. So that's that part. Now, if you're interested in your code, then here we basically have the code. It's not as scary as it looks. So let's close the server, and then let's close off this so you can start from the top and just do the basics. First, we have the API. We set up Axios here because we need to access Axios. And then we have our tasks, and this is basically going to use Axios to send all of our requests to the server. So here it like goes to the URL and send like the ID in a delete request. So this will then delete something from the server. You'll actually notice here all of the requests we did, as you can see here. And then here we have our models. So there's just basic models that might be useful for us. Then we have our slices, and this is the part where I'm going to have to do some tweaking with like doing extra checks and whatnot. Because yeah, it's currently not doing a lot of checks, but this basically just calls our tasks here. So we call this update tasks, and this update tasks calls this update task, basically. And it also calls the tasks here. So that this update task. So it calls both of them. It's kind of a little bit confusing, but if you look through it, it becomes less confusing. And with utils, we just have some basic things like getting the window width and stuff, because currently it's not the best support for if your screen becomes smaller, but currently at least it does something if the screen becomes too small. So plop, and now you see it's going down below here. And you don't have to worry about it going like too far down or something, because if we go here and we add like a ton of things, you'll notice these don't grow, so you can just scroll down and continue looking at this. And of course, the smaller it becomes, then plop, and boom. I need to tweak it a little bit because currently it's not that great, but I do plan on tweaking that. So yeah, that's basically what that helps us with. Here are our views. We have our components like the confirm alert. Basically, if you want to delete something, it's go boom, confirm. I'm not going to go through all of that, it's not necessary. But yeah, as you can see, it's just normal React, and it handles a bunch of stuff for us. I'm not going to go through every part of the code. That can be for a tutorial maybe. But yeah, now you basically have the gist of what everything here is about. And yeah, that is the bug tracker I wanted to talk about. Also, I actually forgot to go to the server. That's one of the parts I wanted to show the most. So here we basically have a Flask server. The sad part is I actually wanted to use Nim. because nim is like Python but with types, but nim is not quite production ready. It's still getting there, which is kind of sad. So I decided, okay, let's go Flask. And then I went Flask, but I'm like, Flask isn't that great in this scenario, at least, because it has a bunch of extra features I don't need, and then it has a lot of extra features that I need, but I don't necessarily want, like that. So then I decided to go Fast API, and I'm pretty happy with it, because it does a lot of the work for me. For example, here with the routes, here's like the delete route, and here like gets the task ID. The task ID has to be a string. It helps so much. And like here's a body request, and here's how the body should look, which is I love it. It doesn't have the best support for types because it's Python, but it does help a lot with like this request making, because we insert a wrong request, it will automatically check that request for us and see that it's correct. That's why I don't have to do so many checks here. I'm going to do more checks, but currently I don't have to do nearly as much checks on here than I would have had to do if I were to use Flask or nim. And yeah, that's about that for my bug tracker. If you want to run it, you just need Python 3.10 or higher. That's for the server. You need Node.js 16 or higher. That's for the client. And then MongoDB 5.0. These two could probably like be a little bit under or a little bit above what is specified here. I just don't know if it can go, because that's what I am running. So I'm assuming that is what you'll need. And then here with the env variables, we have our client. And that's just, you don't need to specify this, but it's recommended that you do. And here, if you want to install, you can just install all, and it will install everything and what that you need. I think that's all for Python as well. So for the server as well, let's go check in this package. So JSON install all. Yes, so here it installs the npm stuff, and then it also does the Python stuff. So you just install all, it will literally install everything, and you don't have to worry about it. And you can just say npm start. And here you can go look at the docs, which is very nice. This is one thing I do love about Fast API. Like here it generated the docs for us. Now here you can go and you can see, oh, okay, so that's what you need and whatnot. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all again in the next video.